Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. And before we get started with today's video, remember to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, post notifications, and without further ado, let's get on with the video. So today's video is going to be a year-end reading stats video. So I'm going to go through all the things like genre, star ratings, and all that kind of stuff, as well as my Goodreads, my year-end books. So I'm going to put up images here of the graphs I made and charts I made. But first, let's go through the Goodreads year-end books. So I read a total of 44,101 pages, which is actually really good. And I read 137 books, which is so good. Last year I read 120, so definitely increased this year. And my goal for next year is to read, I guess, 138, because it was to read one more book than I read this year. The shortest book I read was The Lost Sisters by Holly Black, which is a novella in the Folk of the Air trilogy, and this one was 50 pages. And the longest book I read was Eclipse by Stephanie Meyer, which was 632 pages, which is the third book in the Twilight Saga. And my average book length in 2023 was 321 pages, which is pretty good considering I read a lot of romance, as you will see in my genre stats. The most shelved book I read in 2023, so like the book that most people have added to their shelves, whether it's like want to read or have read, is 1984 by George Orwell, which has over 7 million shelves. Like over 7 million people have shelved it. That's crazy. And the least shelved is The Spy Switch by Karen Whitten, which has 71 shelved. My average star rating for 2023 was 4.3 stars, and this is according to Goodreads, so it does not include my half stars, because if I give a book like 3.5, 4.5, I will always go with the lower number. So if I give a book 4.5, I will give it 4 stars on Goodreads, and then in my like little review, I will say 4.5, just so everyone knows. But according to just the solid numbers, whole numbers, 4.3 is my average rating, which is really good. I read a lot of good books. I give out a lot of 5 stars, but I don't feel like I give too many. I mean, sometimes I give 5 stars, and I don't think, like later on I reflect and I'm like, that was not that 5 star. But usually I think it's 5 stars. I usually read a lot of good books, because if I'm not enjoying the book, I DNF it. And so I read a lot of like 3.5, 4, 4.5 as well, but I read a lot of 5 stars compared to some other people I've seen, which is totally fine. It's whatever you read is great. And I'm just happy that I have a lot of 5-star reads, because those are the ones that you're shooting for. So, and let's see, does Goodreads have any other stats they would like to tell me? Nope, just that I read 137 books out of my goal of 100. And yeah, I think my goal this year, was my goal always 100? Yeah, it was always 100, I think. So that's my 2023 reading year. And now according to the stats that I've logged, and I have made some charts and graphs, some images for you guys to take a look at if you are into stats like I am. This video was so fun to make, it's so fun to make, and I enjoyed making these charts and visuals so much because I'm such a statistics person, and this just brings me so much joy to see everyone's year-end stats. So first, genres. So I will put up the image here. I read 57% of the books I read in 2023 were romance. And I count anything, any age range, if it is a romance. If it is like even fantasy romance or romantasy, I count that as romance, because I didn't know if I should count it as fantasy and romance, fantasy or romance. So I just went with romance. And in 2024, I think I want to have romantasy and fantasy romance be its own genre. But I don't read that much of it, so it's probably going to be a very small genre. Although I do want to get more into it. 17.8% of the books I read were fantasy. 6.7% were mystery thriller. 7.4% were other genres, which were just the genres I did not list in this chart. So like classics, oh my god, why am I blanking? Classics, historical fiction, graphic novels, probably other genres that I'm just not thinking of. General fiction has 5.2%, sci-fi with 3%, and horror with 3% as well. So those are my genre stats. Now let's move on to age rating. So let's pop the graphic up here. 71.9% of the books I read this year were adult. And I'm definitely seeing that this year is the year of adult books for me. And I think 2024, that number is going to go up even higher because I'm just getting into adult books. And I still enjoy the occasional middle grade and YA, but they just don't, I don't know, they just don't hit the same as they used to. And I'm more into adult books, which is totally fine. And it's fine whatever you read, but that is just what I've noticed this year. My taste has been changing. 20.7% of the books were young adult, and 7.4% were middle grade. And I don't read any books that are younger than middle grade. Those are the 3 age ranges I read. And if I ever did pick up a book that was considered younger, I would probably just throw it onto the middle grade category. Next up is star rating. So put the graphic here. As you can tell, I had the most 5-star reads out of anything, and it is crazy. I want to tell me. I had a total of 65 5-star reads in 2023. It was my most given out star rating. It's the one I gave the most ratings. Am I making any sense right now? Also, sorry if you can hear the washing machine going. 65 5 stars, 28 4.5s, 19 4 stars, 11 3.5s, 8 3 stars, 2 2.5s, and then 1 2 1.5 and 1 star. All have one book. So those are my star ratings. Now on to format. So let's put the picture up here. And I read 87.4% of the books I read in 2023 were physical. Physical is just my preferred way of reading. I really like physical. It is my number one way. Like I said, I don't really like ebooks or audiobooks. And I actually really dislike audiobooks. I know it's a controversial opinion, but they just don't work for me. If I'm just listening to it and not like reading, like the words, I just can't pay attention and I just don't listen to a word they say. And then I have to go back like chapters and just be like, what happened, and listen to it all again. So audiobooks, not my thing, but I know they're very popular. And 9.6% of my reading was done on ebook. I don't mind ebook, but it's definitely not my favorite. I'm a physical book girly. And then 3% were audio. Those were all in the beginning of the year when I was trying out audiobooks and I realized audiobooks are not for me. Now on to the last chart I have, and that is how many books I read in each month of the year. So let's put that image up here on the screen for you guys to see. In January, I read the most books. I read 22 books in January, which was my best reading month of the year. And I think December was my best reading month of 2022. So like that was a good reading time for me. February, I read 9. In March, I read 13 books, which is really good. And in April, I also read 13 books. In May, I read 7. In June, I read 13. In July, I read 10. August was another great reading month. I read 18 books. And September, I read 10. November, 5. Oh, October, 5 as well. October, 5. November, 5. And December, I read 10 books. So those are my year in review, my 2023 reading stats. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know how many books you read in 2023. And also, if you don't feel like commenting that or you want to comment something else as well, comment a star emoji for the star ratings. And before you go, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.